y'all, it's Hope here at Crafty Hope and welcome. I'm gonna make a journal today. So over the past, I don't even know, year and a half maybe, I have been working in this journal. I recently did a flip through of it finished. You can up here. Yeah, I'll put a link up here to that video of the flip through. The construction of it is not something I've seen before, but it combines things I have seen, and it's something I've done a couple of times, but I didn't want to share it until I was sure that like I could stuff a bunch of stuff in this journal and it would hold up. So, and it has. It's done a pretty good job. So I thought, let's go ahead and I'll show you how I constructed it. So first thing, I am going to promote this, and that is I have a bunch of paper packs. They are 35 plus papers. I think it's like 38 papers in total, not counting like this, that I'm going to throw in my Etsy shop if you want some book pages like the ones I'm going to use in this video. I haven't, on my recording this, I haven't decided on a price, but it's probably going to be pretty small. So anyway, I took one of these packs like this, and you can see I've taken it apart. I've lost my little clip somewhere. I had it a minute ago. I don't know where it went. So they will come with one of these clips. You should have seen, I've got a video. I'll put that there as also. All of the links for everything will be down below. So I took some of those papers, altered them. If you want to see how I did that, I have that video over on my Patreon. That'll be linked below. So I only need 12 pieces of paper. So I'm trying to think. That means that in one of these packs, you could probably make about 3 journals. So we're just going to make one today. So I have these papers that I have altered with various ways. It is 12 sheets of paper because we are going to make 4 signatures. So each sheet of paper, once you fold it, that becomes what's called a folio. I am not the best like bookbinding book person to go over these things with you, but we're going to basically make what I think 4 signatures with 3 folios each. So that's 12 sheets of paper and then a front and back. So let me tell you what we've, besides the papers, what I've gathered to make this journal. For the front and back cover, I'm just going to use some cardboard, y'all. This is the side flaps from a package I had in the mail. I cut them off. We will cut that down for the front and back cover of this. What else do I have? I have some bookbinding materials. I actually have this hand bookbinding toolkit that I have. This is not necessary. The main things I think I will probably use in it are some waxed cord, and is that all of these? There's an awl in here, but you could also use like a T-pen or whatever. I'm just going to use probably this. And you need a needle, and what am I going to use? Oh, I might use some like big clips, but you could also use, I think this has like bulldog clips in it. Yeah, these things, I think they're called bulldog clips. I don't know. But I like these big paper clips. A needle and thread. You're also going to need some kind of fabric. This is just some, I believe it's some linen that I use as like a wipe off cloth. But you want sturdy fabric and like a gel medium or other glue. And let's see, and if you don't have this, you can use like some fabric tape or bookbinding tape. I've got like bookbinding tape, and so I don't know. I've got all kinds of stuff. So there are definitely a lot of other things you can use, but I'm gonna show you how I made this book, this journal. It was with these book pages. It was, yeah. We're gonna get to it. I'm a little scattered and I apologize. So I hope this goes fairly smoothly and comes together just as beautifully as the first one did. But like I said, yeah, let's just do it. The first thing to do once you've picked out your 12 papers is to fold them in half. So, and of course, if you wanted some of your papers to be kind of askew, you don't have to fold them directly in half, but you need to fold them so you have a bend in your page. So if you want like one side a little longer than the other, fold it 3/4 of the way, whatever it is you want to do. But you want to put a fold in each and every one of them. I'm trying to keep them as even as possible, so your middle line or your crease isn't so wonky. So you can see this one here, I did make a pocket and it's already been folded. So I'm folding mine in half. I am matching the corners and folding them. I'm also picking out as I do this what I want to be the outside and what I want to be the inside. So I'm taking a look at them. Now you see I put aside a paper up there at the top. That one was feeling a little more brittle. So when I creased it, it felt like it was cracking. So the paper, I knew when I go to sew my stitch on it, I knew it would probably start to crumble. So to prevent that, I'm putting a little bit of washi tape over it. You could use a masking tape or a piece of fabric or whatever. And I decided to go ahead and just do both sides. And it adds a little touch of something to the paper, as well as, gives that stability that I was looking for it. And then I creased it again. I'm going to use a bone folder on this one. You could have used a bone folder on all of them. I just didn't. From there, I'm going to start organizing my papers into the signatures. Like I said, I need 4 signatures, and a signature is just a group of papers that are going to be sewn together. So I'm picking out what my outer papers are and then 2 inner papers, and I'm going to do this for 4 signatures. Now, I am trying to make sure that my larger papers, for the most part, are on the outside, or at least, are somewhat visible. And that's part of the binding method we're going to use, or the hybrid binding. I am calling this a hybrid binding method because I'm going to use 2 different bookbinding methods in the making of this journal. It was something I experimented with a while ago and I really like it, and it comes together fairly easy. So now that I've got my 4 signatures, I'm trying to look at them and put them kind of in the order I think I want them in. And that's just a personal preference. Then I'm grabbing my cardboard. Now, if you've just got a little bit of cardboard, that's all you really need. We're going to cut 2 pieces. And I honestly thought I might even use laser cut some wood down to what I need. And that would probably work fine for this method too. But I wanted to share with you how I created that other journal that I've shared with you. So this is what I wanted to show you. So as you saw, I have laid down my signatures on top of this little piece of cardboard, and I'm using a ruler to keep a straight line and draw, trace around just slightly over the size of my journal. Now, this is actually probably more than I needed. I could have cut it a little bit closer to the edges of the papers, directly over it, but I decided to make it just a little bit bigger and give myself a little bit of wiggle room if my cuts aren't exact. So, and I'm using this large pair of industrial scissors. I think they're from Harbor Freight. But anyway, cutting just 2 of the same size. My lines are not straight. I'm going to try to straighten them up, but if they're not, that's fine. That's something I can change later. Right now, it's just more about not making them too small because I don't want them smaller than my paper. And then I'm going to put them on either side of my journal. Now, the first thing we're going to do the first bookbinding method. And that's going to be with our signatures. And this is just a regular 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I'm going to show you it a couple times here, but it's pretty simple. I'm going to use my big clips there to hold my papers in place. Like I said, if you've got some other clips of some kind, those, what I call them, bulldog clips or whatever, that'll work too. Or if you feel like you can hold all your papers in place, you could try that. But for me, this keeps, the creases lined up. It keeps the papers straight. And I'm going to do it on either side. I could actually put 4 clips on here if I really wanted to, but these book pages are small enough that didn't feel like it was necessary. Now I'm going to measure my wax cord by going the length of my papers that the height of my papers, I guess, 3 times. And then I'm going to trim it. Now, this is a bit of overkill, but again, I'd rather have too much than not enough in the end. So I'm trimming that, and I'm going to put it on my big needle. Now, one step I did skip when I did this for y'all was really with this wax cord, I should have grabbed either end and stretched it a little bit, make sure that it had already got as much stretch out of it as possible, and I could have done that right then. So I encourage you to do that when you do yours. And the first thing I'm going to do is take my needle, and you could use, again, an awl or a T-pin or some kind of pokey tool, and poke a center hole. And I'm going to go ahead and pull my thread through, leaving a pretty lengthy tail. Now, this initial center hole can be poked from the outside if you want to have strings dangling on the outside, like to add some beads or charms or something on, but I'm fine with it in the center. From there, I'm poking one hole toward the top and one hole toward the bottom, making sure it goes through all 3 pages. I want to make sure all 3 of these pages are stitched together. So from that outside, I'm going to come in one of those holes, either the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter, and then back out through the other one. So I'm going straight up that center crease, and then I'm going to go back in my center hole, the original one that I did. And when I do that, I'm going to try to make sure it's on the other side of that line we put up the center from our tail that we've got there. I'm going to tighten up, make sure all of everything is nice and tight, so none of that, there's no slack in my thread. And I'm going to tie either a double knot or a square knot, just something that's going to stay secure, and then trim the excess. Y'all, it's a super simple, a 3-hole pamphlet stitch is super simple. It's the easiest way to throw together a signature. And of course, you don't have to have 3 papers for this. You can use, 5 or 8 or, how many ever papers you have. So I'm going to do the rest of these. Again, I'm going to show you this one more time. I'm clipping these together, making sure the creases all match. Then I'm going to measure out my wax cord. I'm showing you there also, I could have used some embroidery floss if that's what you've got, or some other cord, but I like this wax cord. Then I'm going in through the center, poking my holes at the top and the bottom, going through one of them, stretching through the length of the crease into the other one, and then from the back, going back into that center one and tying the knot. So you do that on all 4 of your signatures. And yeah, these are all tied together. I've got my 4 signatures and my front and back. So the next thing, and I'm kind of just showing you that, these are all attached in this book format. And I'm also checking it to make sure that, like, if this needs to be directional in any way, if I want certain things facing up or down, I've got it in that order. So you could also make a mark on the outside of your signatures if you wanted, so that you don't lose which is your top and your bottom. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a tab binding. So first thing I want to do is create my tabs, and I'm using that fabric I showed y'all earlier. So I'm going to cut strips of this fabric down, or try to tear them even, because I do love a torn edge. So I've pulled this out. It's a little bit wider than I want it to be. I'm going to look at it on my journal, and I'm going to trim it down with my scissors, and then cut little tabs. So these are about, I know I measured them, but I don't even remember now, like at 1.25 inches, and then between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch wide. Now I cut 13 of those, and I'm coming back with my gloss medium, my gel medium, a paintbrush, and my pieces. Now, when you do tab binding, you want to make sure you have an even number of pieces. So an even number of signatures with your front and back. So that's why we did 4 signatures. So that with our front and back, it's 6. And you're going to put a little bit of gel medium in the center of your cover toward the top, but in the same place that's at the top of your smallest signature, so that all of these signatures are going to have of the tab on them. So it's important that these tabs are on each of them. So one at the top, one at the bottom, one in the middle, just kind of like how we sewed that. But again, it needs to touch all of them. So we'll flip that over your cover and then go for your first signature page. And you're going to put tabs in between those initial 3. So, and you're, again, laying it out like this so you can kind of see where everything lines up is important, because you don't want these tabs overlapping a whole lot. And you're going to flip that over. And when you flip it over, you're going to want to fold up the first 3, that top, middle, and bottom one. So put down more gel medium, fold it over, and make sure everything's glued down. And again, if you don't have fabric, you can use like a washi tape or something like that to create this tab binding. I like the stability of the gel medium and the fabric. So that's just a personal preference. So for your next one, your third one here, you're going to do top, bottom, and middle. And again, line these up with those first 3 you put down. And then once those are down, you'll flip your page over. Make sure everything's secure. Flip that signature over on top of that one, and then you're going to fold in the 2 numbers, 2 and 4. So how about we call that 2 and 4 there. And since you folded over 2 and 4, on your next signature, you're going to add a 2 and a 4. Yeah. So, and I'm going to let y'all see this whole process as we work. Now, I'm not being specific about which color I'm using on which of these. It's not important to me. This is, later on it might matter, but I just wanted to get these on here. And I kind of wish I had picked a little bit different fabric, but I knew this was some fabric that would add a little color to these pages, and I don't know, it's super sturdy. So since we just added 2, we're going to flip up 1, 3, and 5. So top, middle, and bottom. And then, so since we flip up 3 there, we're going to add our last 3 to this last one. I did have that tab was a little bit longer. And I'm trying to keep from gluing those tabs to anything else. Like I said, you can see that's at the very top and the very bottom, but it's still touching that signature. So for this last one, we're just going to add the top, middle, and bottom, and I'm lining them up. Just line them up, make sure it's where the other ones were, so that there's not a lot of overlap. Nothing gets too wonky. And this is a super simple process. What I like about this tab binding process is oftentimes your pages lay a little more flat, at least until you bulk up your journal. All right, once you have that last signature, you're going to fold up your 2 and 4 again, but you're not on your last page. You are not going to add any more tabs, because you're going to use the 1, 3, and 5 that are on there to attach your back cover. So we'll get that done here in just a second. So we'll flip that up on top and put your 1, 3, and 5, some gel medium on those. Kind of just keep everything as straight as you can. And you don't have to put these on super tight when you flip them over. You can put them on pretty tight, but you want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room for opening and closing your journal in the end. Once I get that on there, y'all, that's it. That's this journal. I'm going to give you a quick flip through of it, and then I'm going to talk to you about what pages come in those vintage book packets that I use to create these. So there's, stick to the end and you can kind of see a little flip through of what's in those book pages I'm going to have in my Etsy shop. But if you're not interested in that, that's it for this journal. I'm hoping to work in it very soon. If not here, then over on my Patreon. So make sure you join me over there if you have the opportunity. And thanks for coming and watching. So we're going to get to going through one of those packets, and I will see y'all later. So there's that little journal. What I forgot to do was tell y'all what all came in one of these paper packs. So there are something like 38 papers, and they're enough to do 3 of these little journals if you wanted to. But you know, there are papers in here that I don't think are necessarily good for a journal, simply because some of the papers are so old, they're brittle, and some I think are good for other things. So we're going to randomly go through this one that I shared. I will replace the washi that's on here. Get the little, so it's going to come with one of my little hidden paper clips that I made. It's going to be wrapped in this bit of ledger paper. So those are little fun things. I might even stuff other things in as I send them out. We'll see. They are all wrapped in a piece of music paper. There are several bits of large print book paper. I will say, I don't know what's on these. I can't read all of these. If there's something inappropriate on them, I apologize, but I can't go through every single one of these papers. There's a couple of these. They are like coin pages. There's several. This is some kind of, I don't know, it's a very brittle paper. This is from some kind of language book. I think maybe a Latin vocabulary book. This is some poetry page, a page from some book on magic. So like another, I don't even know, book page. This is a some kind of dictionary. I think it's a maybe a medical dictionary. Another like novel page. This is a slicker page from a human relations and supervision book. There is a image page that's probably in there from some kind of other book I have, so it's a large image. Another novel of some kind, possibly with imagery on it. This is a very stained, I think all of them from a book about Montessori. There's a couple of those in there. Shortcuts for salesmen. That's like a nice textured paper. Some kind of kids book, I think. Some of these have like, this still has threads from the binding in it and this neat tearing. These were, every single one will be different, but with pages from the same book. So here are a couple of also kind of thick pages from a I believe it's a French learning French book, like a vintage French textbook. This is in French. It is very delicate, so it's not going to be great for like bending into your journal. Here's a little book from this is about Shelley. I don't know. This is a larger page. I love the different colors of the papers in here. So this is a larger page from some kind of, I don't even know, socialist commonwealth. This is a thicker page from the Principles of City Land Values. It's a couple pages from some Shakespeare book. This is some kind of novel. These I love. They are from, I think, like an antique appraisal book, but they're thin and I don't know, they're just really luscious. I love those pages. Another novel page. I think that maybe I don't know, a couple novel pages. Another kind of slick one, but this looks like it's a play. Oh no, this is Human Relations and Supervision. So another one of those. This is I don't know, something about, I don't know, some kind of nonfiction, a novel page. I really love the little page number. It has some neat graphics on it. This is a thinner on Inside Asia page. This is from, I don't even know, some kind of math book, and that is all the pages that are come in one of these. Like I said, I will possibly throw other things in. I need to replace that. If you have questions about any of this, don't hesitate to let me know. And like I said, I'm gonna put these in. I think I'm gonna use this for my picture, some of my pictures, but if you have any questions about any of it, just give me a shout. Sorry that took so long. Yeah, now you know.